The stars looked different here. Captain Daewoo stood at the main window of the ship New Horizon and watched the alien sun rise over their new world. After 37 years of travel, they had finally reached Kepler 442b. Behind him, the bridge was busy with activity. His crew worked at their stations, checking systems and preparing for the most important day in human history. "Captain," called out Navigator Jin from her station. "We are in stable orbit, the planet looks good, air is breathable. Gravity is close to Earth normal." Daewoo nodded. This was what they had hoped for. Earth was dying when they left. Too many people, too much pollution, not enough resources. The New Horizon carried 20,000 colonists in cold sleep. They were humanity's chance for a fresh start. "Begin surface scans," Daewoo ordered. "Look for the best landing sites. We need fresh water, good soil, and no dangerous wildlife." Dr. Yun-Na, the ship's science officer, looked up from her instruments. Her eyes were wide with excitement. "Captain, you need to see this. The surface scans show something strange." Daewoo walked over to her station. On the screen, he could see the planet's surface. There were forests, rivers, and mountains, but there were also structures, geometric shapes that looked too perfect to be natural. "Are those ... buildings?" he asked. "I think so," Yun-Na replied. "And Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures, strong ones." "This planet is not empty." The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the screens. They had traveled so far to find a new home, only to discover that someone else was already living. "There options?" Daewoo asked the senior staff. "We could find another continent," suggested Chief Engineer Tae-bin. "The planet is big. Maybe we can avoid contact." "Or we could try to communicate," said Dr. Yun-Na. "If they are intelligent, maybe they will be friendly." Communications Officer Bo-ri spoke up. "Captain, I'm picking up signals from the surface. Radio waves, but not like anything we use." "The patterns are very complex," Daewoo thought carefully. They had enough fuel to reach another star system, but barely. If this planet did not work out, the colonists might die in space. But making contact with aliens was dangerous. No one knew how they would react to humans. "Scan the structures more carefully," he decided. "I want to know what we are dealing with before we make any choices." For the next 6 hours, the crew studied the alien civilization below. The structures were made of crystal and metal. They covered most of the largest continent. Energy readings showed advanced technology, possibly more advanced than human science. "Captain," Yun-Na reported, "I think they know we are here. The energy signatures have changed. They are responding to our presence." Suddenly, Bo-ri's station lit up with activity. "Captain, incoming transmission, it's directed at us." "Put it on speakers," Daewoo ordered. The bridge filled with sound. It was not like human voices. Instead, it was musical. Pure tones that rose and fell in complex patterns. It was beautiful, like a crystal singing in the wind. "Can you make sense of it?" Daewoo asked. Bo-ri shook her head. "It's not like any language I know. But the patterns suggest intelligence." "They are trying to communicate," Dr. Yun-Na stepped forward. "Captain, I have an idea. Music is mathematical. If they use sound to communicate, maybe I can find the pattern." For the next hour, Yun-Na worked with the ship's computer. She analyzed the alien signals, looking for mathematical relationships. Slowly, she began to understand the structure of their communication. "I think I have something," she announced. "Their language is based on harmonic frequencies. Like a song, but much more complex." "Can you respond?" Daewoo asked. "I can try." Yun-Na programmed the ship's transmitter to send a simple musical message. 3 notes repeated in a pattern that showed intelligence and peaceful intent. The response came immediately. The alien music became more excited, more complex. Then, amazingly, it began to copy the human pattern. The aliens were trying to learn human communication methods. "They are smart," Yun-Na said with wonder. "And they seem curious about us." Over the next several hours, a basic communication system developed. Using music and mathematics, the humans and aliens began to exchange simple concepts. The aliens called themselves the Vorthek. They were an ancient race made of living crystal and energy. The most surprising discovery came when the Vorthek transmitted coordinates to a landing site. They were inviting the humans to come down to the planet's surface. "Captain," said Security Chief Yun-jin, "this could be a trap. We don't know anything about their intentions." But they seem friendly," argued Yun-na. "They could have attacked us already if they wanted to harm us." Daewoo looked out at the planet below. 20,000 sleeping colonists depended on his decision. Earth was too far away to return to. This was their only chance. "Prepare a shuttle," he decided. "Small team. If something goes wrong, the ship can escape." "I'm going with you," Yun-na said immediately. "And me," added Engineer Tae-bin. 2 hours later, their shuttle broke through the planet's atmosphere. Below them, the crystal structures grew larger and more impressive. The Vorthak buildings rose like musical instruments, catching sunlight and throwing rainbow patterns across the landscape. The landing site was a flat area covered in smooth, white stone. As their shuttle touched down, they could see movement. In the distance, the Vorthak were coming to meet them. Daewoo took a deep breath and opened the shuttle door. The air smelled clean and fresh, with a hint of something like flowers. In the distance, crystal beings approached on foot. They moved gracefully, their transparent bodies catching and reflecting light. The lead Vorthak was taller than the others. Its body pulsed with soft blue light. When it spoke, the sound was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Yun-na activated her translation device. The musical tones became words. "Welcome, travelers from the distant stars. We are the Vorthak. We greet you in peace and curiosity." For the first time in months, Captain Daewoo smiled. Maybe, just maybe, humanity had found not just a new home, but new friends. 6 months had passed since the New Horizon arrived at Kepler 442b. The planet now had a human name too, Haven. It was a good name, thought Engineer Tae-bin as he watched the sunrise paint the crystal spires of New Seoul in golden light. New Seoul was not like any city humans had ever built. The buildings grew from the ground like living things, made of crystal and metal working together. Vorthak technology allowed structures to reshape themselves based on need. Human engineering made them comfortable for people to live in. "The morning light patterns are beautiful today," said Kethmore, the Vorthak Council speaker. His crystal body chimed softly as he spoke, creating music with his words. Tae-bin nodded and checked his building plans on his tablet. "The residential tower should be finished today. Your people's crystal growing techniques are amazing. What would take us months to build, you can grow in days. And your people's ideas for interior spaces are clever," Kethmore replied. "We never thought to make rooms that change size based on how many people use them. Human creativity continues to surprise us." This was how most days went now. Humans and Vorthak worked side by side, learning from each other. The crystal beings shared their mastery over minerals and energy. Humans contributed knowledge of agriculture, manufacturing, and space technology that the Vorthak had never developed. Dr. Hai-sun walked through the market district, recording her observations on her tablet. As the colony's psychologist, she studied how the two species interacted. What she saw filled her with hope. Human children played games with young Vorthak, who were smaller and brighter than the adults. The crystal beings loved human music and art. They would stand for hours, listening to someone play guitar or watching a human paint. In return, they taught humans their harmonic language and showed them how to make tools from living crystal. "Dr. Hai-sun," called a voice behind her. She turned to see Min-kyu running toward her. The young man was only 22, but he had become one of the most important people in the colony. He was the first human to truly master the Vorthak harmonic language. "What is it, Min-kyu?" she asked. "The Vorthak Council wants to give me a title," he said, his eyes bright with excitement. "They want to call me Bridge Singer, they say. I'm the first being from another world to speak their language like a native," Hai-sun smiled. "That's wonderful news. You've worked so hard to learn their communication methods." Min-kyu had spent every day for 6 months studying with Vorthak teachers. He learned to make the complex musical tones with his voice and with special instruments the Vorthak created for him. Now he could speak both languages perfectly, making him the bridge between the two civilizations. "There's more," Min-Q continued. "They want me to help write the first trade agreement between our species." Captain Daewoo asked me to translate. During the negotiations, the trade talks had been going on for weeks. The Vorthak offered rare minerals and energy crystals. Humans provided food crops, manufactured goods, and technical knowledge. Both species would benefit greatly from the exchange. In the agricultural district, human farmers worked with Vorthak energy specialists to create the most efficient farms anyone had ever seen. The crystal beings could control soil minerals perfectly, making plants grow faster and healthier. Human knowledge of selective breeding and crop rotation amazed the Vorthak, who had never needed to grow their own food. "Your species adapts to new situations so quickly," said Dorthane, a Vorthak researcher. "In 6 months, you have learned skills that take our people decades to master?" Farmer Gyun-ho wiped sweat from his forehead and grinned. "Humans have always been good at learning new things. We had to survive on Earth." "Tell me about Earth," Dorthane requested. The Vorthak loved hearing stories about the human homeworld. They were fascinated by concepts like seasons, weather, and animals. As Gyun-ho described Earth's forests and oceans, Dorthane's crystal body pulsed with interest. The Vorthak had lived on Haven for thousands of years, but their world was mostly desert and crystal formations. The idea of planets covered in water and green plants amazed them. In the research center, Dr. Yun Na worked with Vorthak scientists to study the planet's ecosystem. The crystal beings had an incredible understanding of energy and minerals, but they knew little about biology. Human knowledge of life sciences was completely new to them. "Your bodies are so complex," marveled Zerketh, a Vorthak biologist. "You have thousands of different parts all working together. We are much simpler, just crystal and energy patterns." "But you live for thousands of years," Yun Na replied. "Human lifespans are very short compared to yours. We have to learn and grow quickly because we don't have much time." "That explains your adaptability," Zerketh said thoughtfully. "Short lives make you value each moment more." The cultural exchange went both ways. Humans learned Vorthak meditation, techniques that used harmonic frequencies to achieve deep peace. The crystal beings learned human art forms like poetry, painting, and dance. Both species discovered that creativity was universal. Captain Daewoo stood in his office, reviewing reports from all over the colony. Construction was ahead of schedule. Food production exceeded all expectations. The colonists were healthy and happy. Most importantly, relations with the Vorthak continued to improve every day. "Captain," called Communications Officer B.O. Ri from the next room, "the first official trade agreement is ready for signing." Min-Q finished the translation work. Daewoo smiled and walked to conference room. Around the large table sat human department heads and Vorthak council members. The agreement documents lay ready for signature, written in both human text and Vorthak harmonic notation. "This is a historic moment," said Kethmore, his crystal body chiming with pleasure. "Never before have the Vorthak formed such close bonds with another species. Your people have brought new life to our ancient world." "And your people have given us a home when we had nowhere else to go," Daewoo replied. "Together we can build something better than either of us could create alone." As they signed the agreement, Min-Q translated the ceremony into harmonic language for the Vorthak observers. The crystal beings sang in harmony, creating a sound like crystal bells ringing across the colony. Outside, human children played with young Vorthak in the crystal gardens. Engineers from both species worked together on new building projects. Scientists shared discoveries that benefited everyone. Haven truly felt like home now. The humans had found not just a place to live, but friends to share it with. The future looked bright and full of possibility. Dr. Hai-sun updated her psychological report that evening. "Relations between humans and Vorthak continue to strengthen," she wrote. "Trust and cooperation are at an all-time high. Both species are learning and growing from this partnership. The colony's success exceeds all expectations. As she finished writing, she looked out her window at the crystal spires glowing softly in the moonlight. Tomorrow would bring new discoveries, new friendships, and new reasons to hope. She had no idea that everything was about to change. Communications Officer B.O. Ree could not sleep. For 3 nights now, she had been picking up strange signals from the Vorthak communication network. The signals were encrypted, hidden beneath the normal harmonic conversations that filled the airwaves. Of Haven, she sat at her station in the communications center at 3 a.m. when the colony was quiet. Her fingers moved across the controls, trying to break the encryption. The Vorthak had taught humans their basic language, but these hidden messages used much older, more complex patterns. "Come on," she whispered to herself. "What are you hiding?" B.O. Ree had always been good with codes and signals. On Earth, she had worked for the military, breaking enemy communications. The encrypted Vorthak signals reminded her of those wartime messages. Urgent, secretive, and important. After hours of work, she finally found a pattern. The encryption was based on harmonic mathematics, but using frequencies too low for human ears to hear naturally. She programmed the computer to translate the sounds into visible patterns on her screen. What she saw made her blood run cold. The first translated message was clear. Phase 2 evaluation continues. Human emotional responses exceed all previous subject species. Recommend proceeding to Phase 3 within lunar cycle. B.O. Ree's hands shook as she translated more messages. The words subject species, harvesting protocols, and essence absorption timeline appeared again and again. The humans were not partners or friends. They were test subjects. She quickly copied all the encrypted files to a secure drive and ran to find Captain Daewoo. The captain was in his quarters, reading reports before bed. When B.O. Ree burst through his door without knocking, he knew something was terribly wrong. "Captain," she gasped, still breathing hard from running. "We need to talk, now, and we need to get Junhan." Junhan was the colony's historian and archaeologist. If anyone could make sense of historical patterns, it would be him. 20 minutes later, the 3 of them sat in a secure room deep inside the human section of New Seoul. B.O. Ree played the translated messages. The words filled the room like poison. Phase 3 involves full neural mapping and essence extraction. Previous species showed decreasing viability after Phase 3 initiation. Recommend careful timing to maximize harvest yield. Captain Daewoo's face turned pale. Essence extraction? What does that mean? Junhan was already working on his tablet, searching through databases. "Captain, I've been studying Vorthak archaeological sites around the planet. I thought I was just learning about their history, but now—" He paused, his fingers moving quickly across the screen. "What did you find?" Daewoo asked. "Ruins," Junhan said quietly. "Dozens of them. All over the planet, and they're not all Vorthak ruins." He showed them images on his tablet. Ancient structures that looked different from Vorthak crystal architecture. Buildings made of metal, stone, and materials that seemed organic. "I found evidence of at least 6 different civilizations that lived on this planet before us. All of them disappeared completely. No bodies, no survivors, nothing. Just empty ruins and some strange crystalline formations that contained traces of biological material." B.O. Ree felt sick. "They've done this before, multiple times?" "The encrypted messages mention a council debate," she continued, scrolling through. More translations. "Some Vorthak want to proceed with what they call traditional absorption. Others want to keep humans as permanent subjects for long-term study." Captain Daewoo stood up and began pacing. "How long do we have?" "The messages mention a lunar cycle," B.O. Ree replied. "That's about 3 weeks. We need more information," Daewoo decided. "I'm going to confront Kethmer directly. If we're wrong about this, we'll have damaged relations with our hosts. If we're right, we're all going to die," Junhan finished. The next morning, Captain Daewoo requested a private meeting with Kethmer. They met in the Crystal Garden where they had signed their friendship agreement just months before. The irony was not lost on Daewoo. Kethmer, he began carefully, I need to ask you about something important. We've discovered some communications that worry us. The Vorthak leader's crystal body flickered with different colors, something Daewoo had learned meant emotional response. What communications? Kethmer asked, but his harmonic tone sounded different. More cautious. Daewoo pulled out a tablet and played one of the translated messages. The words essence absorption and harvesting protocols echoed in the garden. Kethmer was silent for a long moment. His crystal body pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. You were not supposed to understand those frequencies, he said finally. So, it's true? Daewoo asked, though he already knew the answer. It is ... complicated, Kethmer replied. Yes, we have done this before. Many times, over thousands of years. Younger species arrive, we study them, we learn from them, and eventually, we absorb their life essence to extend our own existence. Daewoo felt anger rising in his chest. You lied to us. You pretended to be our friends. We did not lie about friendship, Kethmer said, his tone becoming more musical, almost pleading. We genuinely care for your species. That is the problem. Problem? The council is divided, Kethmer explained. Normally by now we would have begun the absorption process, but humans are different. Your emotional complexity, your creativity, your ability to grow and change. These things fascinate us in ways no other species has. So what does that mean for us? Kethmer's crystal body dimmed. Some council members want to proceed with traditional methods. They say the timeline must be maintained. Others want to preserve humans permanently, to study you for centuries or millennia, to keep you as ... companions. As pets? Daewoo said angrily. As treasured subjects, Kethmer corrected, but the words meant the same thing. And what do you want? Daewoo asked. I want to find a third option, Kethmer said softly, but I may not have enough support on the council. Daewoo stared at the crystal being who had welcomed them to Haven, who had worked beside them, who had seemed like a genuine friend. Now he saw the truth. Humans had never been partners. They had been specimens in a laboratory. How long do we have? He asked. The council meets in 2 weeks to make the final decision. If the traditionalists win, absorption begins immediately. If the preservationists win, you will be moved to a more controlled environment where you can be studied safely. And if you win, I do not know yet. I'm still trying to find a solution that satisfies the council while protecting your people. Captain Daewoo looked around the crystal garden where his people had played and worked alongside the Vorthak for months. Everything felt different now. The beautiful crystal spires looked like prison walls. The harmonic songs in the air sounded like funeral music. I need to return to my people, he said. Captain, Kethmer called as Daewoo started to leave. Please, do not do anything rash. Humans cannot fight the Vorthak directly. We are too powerful, too advanced. Your only hope is to trust that I can find a peaceful solution. Daewoo stopped but did not turn around. Trust? He said quietly, that's something humans give to friends. And you just told me we were never friends, we were always just specimens. As he walked back toward the human section of New Seoul Day, Wu's mind raced. 20,000 colonists depended on him. Earth was too far away to help. The Vorthak were more advanced than humans could fight against, but humans had one thing the Vorthak did not expect, the ability to survive impossible situations through sheer determination and cleverness. It was time to see if that would be enough. Behind him, Kethmar's crystal body pulsed with colors that meant sorrow and regret. But Daewoo could no longer trust what those colors meant. Everything had been a lie. The friendship was over. Now the real test would begin? Security Chief Yun Jin gathered the human department heads in a hidden room deep beneath the colony's main building. Only the most trusted people knew about this meeting. We have 2 weeks, she said quietly, maybe less. We need to prepare for the worst. Captain Daewoo had told them everything. The Vorthak Council would soon decide humanity's fate. Absorption or permanent captivity, both options meant the end of human freedom. What can we do? Asked Dr. Wu Ri, the colony's medical chief. They have technology we can't fight against. We can't fight their technology, Yunjin agreed. But we can be smarter than they expect. Engineer Tae Bin leaned forward. I've been working with their power systems for months. I know where the weak points are, if we make it look like accidents. Do it, Yunjin ordered. Small problems at first. Nothing that looks like sabotage. Dr. Yun Na had been studying Vorthic biology since the truth came out. I found something, she said. They're vulnerable to certain electromagnetic frequencies. It disrupts their crystal structure, makes them confused and weak. Can we build weapons using that? Yunjin asked. Maybe, but we'll need time and materials. The biggest advantage they had was Min Q. The Vorthic still trusted him completely. They had no idea he knew the truth about their plans. I can monitor their communications, Min Q said. When they make their final decision, I'll know immediately. But not all humans wanted to fight. Dr. Wu Ri spoke for many colonists who feared violence. Maybe we can negotiate, she argued. If some Vorthak want to preserve us, perhaps we can find a compromise. A compromise? Yunjin's voice was sharp. They want to keep us in cages like animals. That's not a life worth living. The colony was. Quietly divided, some people prepared to resist. Others hoped for a peaceful solution. Captain Daewoo tried to keep everyone united. But fear made people desperate. Over the next 10 days, small accidents began happening throughout the colony. Power failures, computer glitches, communication problems. The Vorthak noticed but thought. These were normal technical issues with human equipment. The Vorthak Council made their decision on a cold morning. Min Q heard the news first and ran to warn the others. It's starting, he told Captain Daewoo, the traditionalist one. They begin absorption today. Yunjin activated the resistance. Hidden weapons were distributed. Key positions were secured. Humans who wanted to fight gathered in secret locations throughout the colony. The Vorthak came with confidence. They expected humans to surrender peacefully, as other species had done before. They were wrong. Dr. Hai-sun had studied Vorthic psychology for months. She understood their greatest weakness. They feared true death more than anything else. That's why they absorbed other species, to extend their own lives. They've lived for thousands of years, she told the resistance fighters. They can't imagine choosing death over captivity. But humans can, that's our advantage? When the Vorthic tried to begin the absorption process, humans fought back with desperate creativity. They used farming tools as weapons. They turned construction equipment into barriers. They fought in ways the logical Vorthak had never imagined. Engineer Tae Bin made the ultimate sacrifice. He ran into the main power station and overloaded the entire grid, knowing it would kill him. The explosion destroyed the Vorthic's primary energy source and left their technology weakened. Min Q used his knowledge of their harmonic language against them. He broadcast specific frequencies through the colony's communication system, the same frequencies Dr. Yun Na had discovered. The sound caused widespread confusion among the crystal beings. The battle was not won through superior firepower. Humans had none. Instead, they won through stubbornness, sacrifice, and the willingness to die rather than live as prisoners. When the fighting ended, both sides had lost many people. The colony was damaged, trust was broken. But something unexpected happened. A young Vorthak named Dothrai approached Captain Daewoo under a white flag. The old council is gone, Dothrai said in careful human words. Those who remain want peace, real peace. Why should we trust you now? Daewoo asked. Because you taught us something we had forgotten, Dothrai replied. You showed us that some things are worth dying for. We had lived so long that we forgot. What courage means, the new Vorthak leadership made an offer. True partnership, not as masters and subjects, but as equals. They would abandon their life absorption practices and find new ways to extend their existence through legitimate science. Your people's refusal to surrender showed us that growth comes through struggle, Dothrai explained. We want to learn. That strength? Captain Daewoo was skeptical, but he agreed to negotiations. This time the terms would be different. Humans would share the planet as partners, not prisoners. Dr. Yun Na established the first interspecies university where both races could study together honestly. No more secrets, no more hidden agendas. Just the pursuit of knowledge for the benefit of all. Min Kyu became the first director of interspecies relations. His title of bridge singer took on new meaning. He would help rebuild the bridge that had been broken by lies. Months later, Communications Officer Bo Ri sent a message back to Earth. It would take 37 years to arrive, but future generations needed to know what had happened. "We found a new world and new neighbors," she transmitted. The relationship was built on deception, but from betrayal and conflict we forged something stronger. Humanity's greatest export isn't our technology or resources, it's our refusal to surrender our humanity even when facing extinction. The crystal spires of New Seoul still gleamed in the sunlight, but they looked different now. They were no longer symbols of friendship built on lies. They were monuments to a harder truth. That real partnership could only exist between equals who chose to trust each other. The Vorthak had learned that immortality without growth was just another form of death. Humans had learned that sometimes the greatest victory came not from winning, but from refusing to lose what mattered most. Haven was still their home. But now it was a home built on honest foundations where two species could grow together without fear or deception. The friendship was real this time.